Shalom Yasha'Allah. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekah Kwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders at Great Millstone, who grew well. And peace and blessings to the hopeful elect that's pushing this great gospel in sincerity and truth. It's your brother Tazakai Yahweh from the Great Millstone, Indianapolis camp. Coming at you another lesson through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Bahashem Shai. And Lord willing, it be edifying. I got an article from WSWS, or World Socialist Website.org, and it reads, Deaths mount. Wildfire spread as heat wave shatters records across Europe. And this article came out a day ago, which I believe was at the 20th maybe. So I believe, yeah, July 20th, 2022, the year Yahweh Bashem Shai turning up. And definitely turning up, no pun intended. But it says, you'll turn the heat up. It says, the mounting death toll and devastation from wildfires and drought are exposing the indifference and inaction of state authorities across Europe to the catastrophic impact of global warming. Of course, anyways, that madness. It's okay, that was a car burnt up in the fire. Say the heat wave is setting records across Europe. Penheyo said the highest temperature ever recorded in Portugal was 47 degrees Celsius or 116 degrees Fahrenheit. Damn. It says France saw 64 cities set records, including Biscarrosse, 42.6 degrees Celsius. So still, pretty much 5-degree difference from the 116. While London's Heathrow Airport recorded 40.2 degrees Celsius. Yesterday marked the first time a temperature over 40 degrees Celsius was ever recorded in Britain ever. So it says the confirmed death toll from the heat wave on the Iberian Peninsula, which would be, Spain and Portugal, alone is now already above 1,700. So it said the death toll, right? And there could be more deaths too, because remember this article came out a day ago, or two, depending on, But anyways, it's so Portuguese General Health Authority Director Graca Freitas reported yesterday that there were 1,663 heat-related deaths between July 7th and July 18th in the country, adding, "We have to be more and more prepared for periods of high temperatures." The Carlos III Institute confirmed that Spain had seen 678 heat-related deaths between July 10th and July 17th. Damn, fry, baby, fry. Over there, and like Elder Hawaii say, over there crispy. This toll could rise explosively in the coming days. Former UK government chief scientist David King warned that the British excess death toll from the heat wave could reach 10,000. Damn. We're a country with relatively high humidity, King said, adding high humidity, high temperatures. Quite simply, that's higher than the body temperature should be. If you are even in the shade outdoors at 40 degrees Celsius and 80% humidity, you won't live for very long. Damn, that's the Lord definitely they're turning up. It says Portugal and Western Europe broadly are particularly vulnerable to heat waves due to climate change, right? The Lord ain't got nothing to do with it, it's just climate changing, right? But even at that, who will be, whatever, who put the climates in place. But anyway, say Lisbon University professor Carlos Antunes noted, with climate change, it is expected that this increase in mortality will intensify, and therefore we have to take measures at the public health level to minimize the impact. As they pursue a policy of mass infection and death with Crown, Europe's governments are writing off any collective action to address global warming and the heat wave. After UK Deputy Prime Minister Dominic Raab cynically told Britons to enjoy the heat and be resilient. The tragic death of Madrid street cleaner Jose Antonio Gonzalez highlighted European governments' inaction and indifference to the plight of workers laboring in the heat. At least 14 Madrid street cleaners have fallen victim to heat stroke, working in the sun in heavy polyester uniforms. Gonzalez, age 60, was transported to the hospital after being found unconscious on the ground with a body temperature of over 41 degrees Celsius, 160 degrees. He later died of a heart attack. Damn, it say his son Miguel 21 told the press, "I think working in 42 degrees Celsius heat without shade in those clothes is immoral. It should not happen. We all know it can be avoided, but until something like this happens, they do not realize." His father still worked extremely hard at age 60, Miguel said, because he was a baser temp worker trying to get a permanent job with the city of Madrid. He would come back exhausted. "I know he realized this could happen to him, but he did it because he wanted to get a permanent contract, And this could very well be a Jake. He was just trying to, hey, get a job to, so just to, get by, Um, but at the end of the day, these people, because who normally got to go through these temp agencies to really get on to get a job, Subjects may know some people that they may get in, but who filled up them temp agencies? You already know us, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, right? They did, they take your ass out there, die, heat stroke, and then a heart attack at that, So like I said, this could very well be a Jake. Which Jakes are, we used to rule back in the times of the Dark Ages or the medieval time periods, So yes, our seed definitely has been spread through Europe, so it's no surprise. But some people be like, oh my God. But anyway, it's a where we say, okay, "I'm convinced he kept cleaning that street until he passed out. He thought that they would not renew his temp contract, and he wanted to give it his all to show them that he was worthy." See, and that's what Jay do. Now, of course, us now in the truth, we ain't, man, look, we gonna go, we gonna go to a PlayStation, but you ain't better work the hell out of me or, do something that's, like he said, immoral. No, you ain't doing that to us no more. Like, shit, hey, send us right out the door. We go, hey, like Apostle R said, you get my walking papers, I'll go somewhere else. But you ain't about to, especially the wages that we get, hell no, you not about to work me till I die. No, this is, but it's going on. It says, that for me, see, look, they didn't care. He wanted to show that he was worthy. They didn't give a damn, man. Get out there, and then done die. They say that for me is inhuman. That should make all of us think. These are not conditions in which one can live. Miguel said that when he turned on his father's computer and looked at his Google search history, he found that his father had searched for what to do in case of a heat stroke. Damn, he was prepared to, hey man, I'm about to work my ass off, but I may get a heat stroke because why? It's high heat, but hell, I'm trying to get a permanent job. Like I said, just trying to make ends meet. But hey, ultimately judgment from Yahweh Shemel Shai. It says, after Madrid Mayor Jose Luis Martinez Almeida broke his silence on his father's death 2 days later, saying, "We were not aware that there were complaints about the uniforms," Miguel replied. "Well, that's not true. Everyone should admit to what they are responsible for. The city should do more beyond providing excuses and trying to blame the tip work agency. No one else should have to live through what we are living through." And like I said, you can tell that those higher ups in these, in the city, where they were definitely Edomites, they don't never want to take, accountability or anything like that. They always want to point the finger to blame somebody else. It said capitalist governments across Europe and internationally have ignored warnings of the catastrophic implications of climate change. Only a truly massive infusion of resources coordinated on an international scale can create the necessary infrastructure to cut greenhouse gas emissions, protect populations and food supplies from drought, wildfires, and rising sea levels, halt the surge in temperatures, and save lives. However, what little capitalist governments have been able to agree upon is manifestly insufficient. And really, you ain't shit you can do about it, because it's all coming from Yahweh Shemel Shai. They even got their little systems to where they can manipulate whether stuff like that, whether this could be a case or whatever the case may be. No matter what, it's all through Yahweh Shemel Shai. So ain't shit you really can do about it. This is all set up in the spirit already. It say, while the Paris Accords have set unacceptable low goals, a rise in average global temperatures of no more than 1.5 Celsius to 2 Celsius, the 1.2 Celsius increase that has occurred is already boosting the frequency, intensity, and duration of extreme heat waves. Remember, I think it was last year when it was a lot of heat waves going on over there, Saudi Arabia and stuff in that area. People dropping dead over there too. So, hey, that was just a thought that came to my mind. So, like the dude said, enjoy the heat. It's a recent study in Nature Communications warned that due to airflow patterns and configurations of the jet stream over Eurasia, Europe will face particularly extreme heat waves. Europe is, the study found, a heat wave hotspot, exhibiting upward trends that are 3 to 4 times faster compared to the rest of the northern latitudes. One of the authors of the study, Kai Kornhuber of Columbia University, said, breaking records is the new normal, adding that temperatures will keep rising as long as greenhouse gas emissions continue. With major rivers like the Po and Serchio virtually running dry, municipalities across northern Italy are issuing or preparing to issue a ban on water use. Damn, except for healthcare and food. Damn. With very limited rainfall this winter, and glaciers in the Alps evaporate. The University of Turin professor Stefano Fanaglio explained the result is that the rivers did not receive any water input, and by the end of February, their state was very similar to that of a river in August. Drought is treated like an acute episode, but it's becoming a chronic one now. Firefighters and water tanker planes are fighting wildfires that are raging out of control across southern Europe. They are hitting Crete, Corfu, and periphery of Athens and Greece, areas around Milan, Trieste, and Rome in Italy, the region of Castilla, Leon, and Galicia in Spain, the regions of Murcia, Caves in Portugal, and Brittany, and the Gironde region around Bordeaux and France. Over 34,000 people have been evacuated from villages and towns across the Gironde, where fires have burned over 20,000 hectares, or whatever, of forest. This fire is a monster. It spreads extremely fast due to the very hot, dry air. Its perimeter is over 42 kilometers. It is impossible to post forces on all sides of it, and because of erratic winds, it advances first on one side, then on another, so that firemen have to reposition themselves constantly, said Gironde Council President Jean-Luc Glace. It says Glace, I don't know. The impact of the fire yesterday afternoon was felt 500 kilometers away in Paris, where smoke blackened the sky and gave off a burnt smell. The Paris police prefecture issued a public appeal to Parisians via social media. You may detect a burnt smell. This almost certainly comes from the current wildfires in France. Do not burn in emergency response call lines. Only call firemen if there's a confirmed fire. The heat wave is expected to move north and east into parts of Belgium, the Netherlands, and southern and western Germany in the coming days. So that's all in this article. Like I said, these heat waves and wildfires that's over there shattering records, in Europe, putting, people getting put to death by the heat, and we all understand that this comes from, the spirit and the power of Yahweh Shemel Shai, right? Because it says, let's get this, Amos chapter 3 verse 6, because wouldn't, on the surface level, wouldn't people agree that, man, these people done died, from the heat stroke, heat waves? They say that's a bad thing, that's bad, that's horrible, And guess what? We understand that Yahweh Shemel Shai sends those, is responsible of the bad and the horrible things that happen. Amos chapter 3 verse 6, shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in the city, right? Evil meaning Eve meaning time, ill meaning bad. So shall there be a bad time in the city? And the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai hath not done it. So the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai taking credit of sending whatever evils to the city, or whatever good that he do, is all through the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai. He's responsible. It say, surely the Lord power, and how we know, it say, surely the Lord power, Yahweh Shemel Shai power will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants the prophets. So the secrets that are allotted for us to know, he exposed them unto us. And then what? We are set up to be a watchman to you, to teach you those things, right? But the ones who be like, oh, that don't sound right, that, this and that, well, the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai is not on them, so their ears are closed, their eyes are closed, their ears plugged up, they spiritually are, asleep, But like I said, this all came from the Lord, and as it says, Isaiah 29, chapter 6, Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Shemashai of hosts, with thunder and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire. Because what this is a visitation of Yahweh Shemashai via what those flames of devouring fire and those wildfires. You know what I'm saying? That's burning up, like I said, 20,000 acres or hectares, whatever it said, out, like I said, just like wildfires are going on over here. Any wildfires are going on in the world, whether it be, if a man was set it or it's just naturally by heat, it's all through the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai. So this is a way of the Lord visiting this place which he have made, right? This was his judgment. Like all those people who that died, and they said even more people, they said they expected the 10,000 people to die, so as we understand with the scriptures, it's like here, Rome chapter. This is Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 5. The just Lord is in the midst thereof. He will not do iniquity. Every morning doeth he bring his judgment to light. He faileth not. So the Lord's not, he don't do maliciousness. He don't do things that are, he's not evil. He's not, wicked in what he do. He is just. He is righteous in what he does. And that can go as far as rendering out judgment, taking the spirit from people, putting them to death. Every morning do he bring his judgment to light. Every single day, judgment is going forth. Even when you sleeping at night, judgment is going forth. He faileth not, so he's not going to fail when it comes to his judgment. He don't fail in anything. But the unjust know no shame, and that's why those are majority of the people who get put to death. Because we tell them when we teach them, tell them this, hey, you have to stop doing that. That's against the law, statute, commands of Yahweh Shemashai. Do this, try your best to do this, to put that off. And what the people do, they scoff and mock and, well, you can't tell me what to do. Who the hell you think you are, right? They don't have no shame in the wickedness that they commit. Therefore, what happened to them? Judgment happens to them, right? And we know, hey, it's, like I said, the truth has been, like I said, spread throughout the four corners of the earth. Definitely got camps over there in Europe, that preaching and prophesying and telling them these things to come to pass, right? And we understand that, hey, death is coming in a great way, and this, like, we understand that this came from Yahweh Shemel Shai. Because, like I said, they said, man, dying from them high heats, that, man, shit. Out there suffering. This is Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 39. See now that I, even I, am he, and there is no God with me. Yahweh is the only sovereign, almighty, powerful, almighty God, right? It's Yahweh. Ain't no Buddha and them ain't up there like, yeah, you should do this, you should put that plan in, or you should do this with people, Allah, no, they ain't up there. No, it's just Yahweh, and of course the rest of the order, beneath you, but he's the only, that sovereign power, right? I kill, so he's killing, and I make alive. He's behind, life and death. I wound and I heal, right? So it's up to the Lord, whether he, if he wound you and to heal you from your wounds, or you can die from your wounds. Because some people say they went home having a heat stroke or whatever, and they eventually had a heart attack. They wasn't healed. They wasn't brought back to it, right? And say neither is there any that could deliver out of my hand. Right, so ain't nothing that nobody can do, ain't nothing you could do to be delivered out of the hands of Yahweh Shemel Shai. If he have you slated for destruction, by all means you're gonna die in the way that he put into play for you to die. Because everything was already set up from the foundation of the world. So we just hope that we don't fall victim of this judgment. The hopeful that we hope that we don't fall victim to his judgment. And if we do receive some type of judgment, for our particular sins or what we may done, Lord will is not to the point where we can't come back and try to right the wrong which we committed. Lord, when we just have a chance to, like I said, repent and, just do better. But as far as like the actual ultimate judgment being put to death, yes, that's come from Yahweh Shemel Shai. And like I said, I can imagine, how I may feel to have a heat stroke or all this now. Jake it'd be hot as hell, but at the end of the day, you probably can go look up and see if I had more time, I'd have looked it up to see how the process worked for, heat stroke and stuff like that. But on my little break here, so trying to, not necessarily rush, but, press for time. So it says, Just get this real quick. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 31. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. So it's a fearful thing when you got to fall in the hands of the living power on the left hand side. Of course, the elect want to fall in the hands for protection, for a refuge. But if you gonna fall into the hands of Yahweh Shemashah on the left hand side, it is not gonna be pretty, and it's not gonna go well with you. Trust and believe that. So, like I said, just imagine people, like they said, he said you can go outside even in the shade and you still won't live. That's what that guy said, with those temperatures. That's definitely that's a scary thing. And real quick, I was going to end it on here, but I just thought about it too when it speaks about those droughts and stuff like that, which can also do what? Contribute to famines as well. But ultimately, when we get just this right here, this is 2 Ezra chapter 6, verse 23. And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. Because the trumpet is really who? The prophets. Ultimately using the scriptures to the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai. They lift a nice voice up like a trumpet. So speaking loudly so you can be able to hear. And when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. Because when they hear the things that we say, they be afraid. That's why it's easy for them to reject it or not believe that. Because when you really think about it and sit down and take it in, there's things that we say and what we read, it is scary. If you of the undesirables. So it's easy for you to, no, that ain't right. No, this BS, this and that. And then drive it home, convicting your spirit. What if it's true? What if it's this? And what if it's that? Scared as hell, right? Well, it's best for you to just receive it and take it in as it is, or hey, go look it up for yourself, right? So the trumpet, like I said, and also like I said, going to what? A trumpet was blown to warn, for a warning, depending on whatever the case may be. Back in our homeland, we had different, various trumpets, sounds that would, usher in this or usher in that or warn about this. So this is the men, the prophets, are the mouthpiece of Yahweh Shemashai, who was set up to warn the people, first and foremost. Well, ultimately, just the Israelites, but ultimately the elect of Israel, because those are the ones who are going to take heed and do all what they can to, receive that salvation, how Yahweh Shemashai predestined them to do, right? It says, verse 4 is the point, and at that time shall friends fight against one another like enemies, and that's going to come to pass. Due to these food shortages and crises and all these things going on, just the people just going to start bugging out. And the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. So everybody going to be in fear of what's coming to pass. The springs of the fountain shall stand still. In 3 hours they shall not run. Ultimately going to what? There's going to be droughts. There's going to be shortage of water, lack of water, and stuff like that. That's what they said. Now they over there pretty much rationing, saying, hey, man, y'all can't use water unless it's for healthcare or food. Other than that, you can't use it. So, droughts is definitely part of, the visitation of Yahweh Shema Shai, as long as those devouring fires. And the last verse I want to get, just in this script, just over here, just one more, just one. 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. And that's it, and that's all. Woe, death and destruction is coming to the world and them that dwell therein. So who dwells in the world? People. Hey, even animals gonna get it that day, the day of destruction, but ultimately the people. Woe to the people. Why? For your sins and your iniquities. That's why, lamentations, mournings, and woe is coming to the world in a great way, right? These are what? Just the beginning of sorrows that we're experiencing right now. So it's best for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans to, hey man, get your act together, take heed, humble down and listen to the prophets of Yahweh Shema Shai warning you and trying to teach you of the ways of Yahweh Shema Shai so that you may follow them to the best of your ability, whereby you may be saved, while you may be preserved from these said perils. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the sincere Akim Wa Akwathim out there listener. I want to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, the honor to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and blessings to the whole full elect that spreads this great gospel in sincerity and truth. Shalom, Yasha Allah, Abai, Babal.